So green timber in Arkansas is a pretty important habitat for the state. We've lost over 80% of that habitat in the state, and DU's whole mission is to keep critical waterfowl habitat on the ground, and as well as putting new critical waterfowl habitat on the ground. And we're in this to make sure these forests stick around for the long term, and I'm pretty excited that Ducks Unlimited is getting to be a part of that. Arkansas always has more mallards than any other state in the country, and I'm a firm believer that the reason that is because of all of the bottomland hardwoods that we have left. So when you have 80% of the delta that's been cleared for agriculture, what remaining tracts of bottomland hardwoods we have, that's a pretty important piece of the puzzle when it comes to the mallard duck.
A Greentree Reservoir is basically a ring levee or a series of levees with water control structures. Typically water in, water out. Some can be naturally flooded like Balmedo, or you can have artificially flooded like we have a lot of here at Five Oaks. They can be anything from cypress, button bush habitat all the way up to cherry bark, water oak, and swamp chestnut oak.
Yeah, these bottomland hardwood forests just have a fundamental ecological value. I think each person can bring their own, value system to it and think, well, I care about them because of ducks, or I care about them for deer, or I care about them for neotropical migrant songbirds, whatever it might be, right? Or the ecological goods and services they provide. They're just part of the ecosystem, right? I mean, these places are really worth sustaining just for their own intrinsic value.
These mallards like to get into these bottomland hardwoods. They like to eat the acorns that are out of the red oak trees, mainly not all the willow oak, cherry bark, water oak. They're in here for protection. They're in here eating the bugs. They're in here for a reason. And we have lost so many of our bottomland hardwoods over the last 70, 80 years. Our goal is just to make sure what we have is to maintain it at the highest level possible, critical to it. To making sure these mallards continue to come back to this part of the world. And it's just amazing the work that we're doing to save these wetlands and to save conservation. And so Ducks Unlimited is just, it's a really important organization for all of us.
So how exactly to manage these things is a subject of debate, but I think the one thing we can all agree on is don't do it the same way all the time, right? So variability, no matter how you define that or how you implement that, really all wetland ecosystems are driven by change. So what we're working on is trying to, on our properties, the Game and Fish manages, and then encourage private landowners to just really focus on variability and focus on the ability to move water through these systems during these what seem to be inevitable, really, really wet springs and summers we're having. You actually don't want to prescribe just like, here's a recipe for GTR management. You want it to be adaptive and observant of what the habitat is doing, and then how to fit your management within that.
The work we're doing in the bottomland hardwoods, we're going to be able to provide Arkansas Game and Fish Commission and the biologists and the managers of the Balmedo Wildlife Management Area with the latest information that we're going to learn from this. But it's going to take us 7 to 10 years to get that knowledge. But we got to start today. Ducks Unlimited is raising money now for the engineering so we can go in and replumb Balmedo, get it where the water, we get drainage out of there to save these trees. And so in 7 to 10 years, whenever that is, we want to have the answers so we can go. Without the public, all this doesn't matter anyway. And we got to have good timber. I mean, it's as simple as that.
So people a lot of times say, well, why do we have to do all this? It's been working for thousands of years. Well, there's nothing in the Mississippi Alluvial Valley that's natural about the hydrology ever. It never will be. we can try our best to mimic it, but the answer to the question is nothing's natural, so we have to mimic natural processes. And when we flood it to a static level, like the bottom of the board on the boat shed every single year at the same water depth, we fail. So we got to always be thinking about 10 years from now, 20 years from now.
I'm really proud of the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, the commissioners and the staff, because they have really taken this on as a challenge and making some major changes in how they manage these WMAs, wildlife management areas. They've done a great job on the outreach and education to the public to accept it. So I really commend the commission for what they've done to allow them to get us to this point.
My role at Ducks Unlimited is really to tell the broader public about the benefits of Ducks Unlimited's work. The 15 million plus acres of conservation work that Ducks Unlimited has done over our 85-year history has benefits for things beyond ducks. Greentree Reservoirs, I think we can think of them as being analogous to managed bottomland hardwood forests, and those bottomland hardwood forests take precipitation and flooding from local creeks and channels. That water slows down and it drops out nutrients and sediment. So by improving the hydrology of a Greentree reservoir, you can return some of those functions to improve water quality. And trees are a really great natural way to take carbon out of the atmosphere from photosynthesis and put it in the biomass of that tree. That if we return the hydrology, we'll return the ability of those trees to take that carbon out of the atmosphere and store it in the biomass of trees. At the same time, we're improving food production and the ecological character of those Greentree reservoirs.
You know, a healthy forest is essentially a functioning wetland, and that does a lot to benefit your everyday person. A healthy bottomland forest is great at holding on to floodwaters, preventing or reducing flood severity for the general public. It's great at capturing carbon, storing carbon in the ground, so that's less going into the atmosphere and contributing to climate change and all of that kind of stuff. It results in cleaner water for me and you to drink, and it just makes overall the quality of life around here a lot better.
Yeah, lots of different critters use bottomland hardwood forests. It just so happens that some of them are impounded as GTRs. So when we think about the other values of those habitat types, we're really talking about all the critters that use bottomland hardwood forests in general. And those GTRs are just kind of like, they're basically one box within that bigger bottomland hardwood forest community that has values to all sorts of game species and non-game species. Most of them, frankly, we've hardly even kind of begun to quantify all the values to different species out there.
We know so little about how all this works that we've got to continue learning and searching for the answers and getting these scientists to really dig in and figure it out. How do we get a more consistent acre crop, better natural regeneration, or if not, then what do we have to do? A lot of study, a lot of work, but we don't ever want to stop. This is not an overnight success thing. This is going to take time, and some years are going to be better than others, but we got to continue making progress forward.